Hi guys, this is Mrs. Crosby, and I'm going to introduce you to a fun little landscape that I like to do with my students. It's a prehistoric landscape, and the first thing I have my students do is we draw a horizon line. Now I'm going to do this with Sharpie so you guys can see it very clearly. I usually like to do my horizon line a couple inches from the top, not quite in the center, a little toward the top to give myself more room down here on the bottom to draw my animals and things like that. And the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a mountain range. I like to make my mountains look kind of volcanic for this prehistoric drawing. And I always like to put a couple extra little ones peeking up from the back, off in the distance, so you can really get that feel for that atmospheric perspective. Okay, I'm going to put some cracks and some crags coming down from the top of the mountain. And then when I go to put the color in on this drawing, I will add some lava flowing down and that sort of thing. But this is just to give you some kind of sense of depth, okay, in your drawing. Okay, so in the background, and I'll add some light and some shadow and do some shading and that sort of thing to it once I've got this done. Okay, now for my next step, I want to do some sort of dinosaur or something like that. And I've been teaching this one for years. My kids absolutely love to do brontosauruses and T-Rexes and things like that. So over here on this side, this is going to be a rough sketch so you can kind of get an idea. I'm going to draw the body and the tail of a brontosaurus. I'm going to do a big old thick tail kind of curling around right here. And you could do the tail, wrap it around the body or something like that if you want to. I find if you do it coming straight out from the body like a V, then it looks a little more stiff and that sort of thing. And then you do the head coming up like so. You've got your oval here for the body. You've got your head here. Now, mind you, if I were doing this for class, I would do it with pencil, but since I'm doing it as an instructional video, I'm doing it for you guys in marker so you can see it better. And I would add in wrinkles and things like that here and there on him, maybe give him some old scars and stuff where a T-Rex had attacked him, or some stripes like leopard stripes or something like that. Leopard spots or stripes, or, you know, like a zebra or something, just to make it look more interesting and textural when I go to put my color in on him. You might even want to give him some spines. And if you really get into dinosaurs and studying all of them, there's some really fascinating features that some of them have with the spines and the little triangular shaped plates and all that kind of cool stuff that they have on them. Now, if I were doing this in pencil, I'd go back in and erase this mark right here, and I'd erase this mark right here, so that my dinosaur really does feel more three-dimensional. I'm going to put him in some real thick legs down here, some in the back, and I'm going to give him a big, fat, meaty back leg, and give him a little foot on there. I'm going to put another one kind of coming out from an angle right here, like he's bending his leg or his foot. This is just a rough sketch so you guys can get an idea of how you can do it. My students always feel like they can't draw, and I keep telling them, yes, you can. You just need to know how to go about it because you've never attempted it before. So, there is a rough sketch of a brontosaurus for you, and you can add some cracks and some. I think of their bodies as being kind of rough and wrinkly, like an elephant's skin. I've not ever seen an elephant in real life. I've never been on safari or anything like that, but that's what I think of from all the pictures I've seen of the elephants. I kind of like these little stripes on his skin. They look pretty cool. And I might continue those on down through the back, and it's just a little V section, little wiggly kind of stripe. Kind of might blend in some of those little lines that I did earlier to kind of give me guidelines. Okay, now there's my brontosaurus. Now if I want to, I can also do a T-Rex or a whole family of brontosaurs out here. And I can add in some trees and cool stuff like that to kind of make it look more three-dimensional. Maybe I want to add in a little palm tree right here. Might want to add in some coconuts on it or something like that. Just a little cluster of them and do some little branches. Maybe a banana tree or something cool like that. I like to draw this one for the students because they can draw this one really easily and they just love it. They think it's so cool. And you just do a kind of a jagged edge coming out there toward the end. You can also do it more like a banana leaf where it comes out more like this. And you just do a couple of little fronds on it. Like so. And the more overlapping you have going on in this piece, the more three-dimensional it's going to look. Like I say, I would normally do this with pencil and just erase those guidelines when I got finished, but it doesn't show up very well on video, so I'm doing this for your benefit. Okay. And then I might add some texture to the bark. Some little scaly-like looking texture to the bark. Kind of like the letter W. Or like an M or something like that. Maybe give some little grasses and things like that. Flowers if I want. It just depends on how, you know, jungle-like you want it to look, or if you want it to look more like a plains kind of thing. Desert tundra type situation. It just depends. Okay, so that's what I have so far. Now, if I wanted to, off in the distance, I could draw a forest or something like that. I might even draw some, let's do a T-Rex. I'm going to put his head about even with the other one. And then I'm going to draw like an oval shape here for his body. You can draw the oval first. It's kind of up to you. Just whichever you prefer. There's his neck, joining the two pieces together. You could do the same thing for a horse. You would just turn this oval sideways to have your horse. I'm going to do his tail wrapping around. Big meaty tail, so it doesn't really go off the page. And now this composition, having his head looking at this dinosaur, it's going to add some interest to the artwork. And also his tail is going to pull you back in to the composition this way. Then I'm going to give him a big, fat, meaty back leg, you know. They have those big old fat back legs. Now, I'm not a dinosaur expert, so I'm just going to do the best I can. Give him some claw-like taloned feet. Big old black claws. Make him look really frightening. Y'all forgive me, I've been teaching all day, so my voice is kind of had it at this point. Okay, there's him some nice big old claws. And then I want to give him their itty-bitty arms. You know the ones. I tell my husband all the time I can't reach things because I got itty-bitty arms like a T-Rex. And he's got these little claws right here. I have a really big head and little bitty arms like a T-Rex. And he'll laugh at me and he'll be like, here, and hand me the pot or whatever it is I need off the top shelf. The baker that I use, you know, once a week, once every other week, something like that. Give him some little. Now, I want to make him have evil eyes because, you know, he's a meat eater and he's kind of ferocious. Okay, so I'm going to give him kind of a more sinister look. And I think I want to open his mouth up like he's roaring at the other guy. Give him some teeth. I wish I had a finer tip Sharpie so you could really see the teeth better. I'm going to have to see if I can't find some somewhere. Alright, now that's my basics. I can go back in here and add in some more texture and stuff like that. Getting more three-dimensional looking. Now I haven't decided where my light source is coming from. I'll probably have to do another video with that because this was coming up on 10 minutes now. But for me to decide where my light source is going to be, if I put it over here, I'm going to have shadows falling underneath the dinosaurs in this direction. If I put it over here toward this side, then I'd have my shadows falling over here in this direction. So I'm going to want to be careful about where I'm going to put my shadows to make my figures look less flat and more three-dimensional. Okay, so be thinking about that as you're working, like where you're going to put your shadows, what kind of creatures you want to draw in it. And you can sketch it out and put it in your sketchbook or whatever you want to, so you can kind of get some good ideas. But there's a beginning how-to for your dinosaur landscape. You have your horizon line, you have your mountains off in the background, you have your dinosaurs in the foreground, and right now we just have a blank middle ground. We haven't filled in the middle ground area yet, but we'll get to that later. Alright guys, God bless.